So this is Pen and Brush, part museum, part literary hub. It's been around for about 129 years, right? Welcome to Communal Edition, The Writers Are Striking. I am Ukva. I am the artistic director for New York Writers Coalition. And I think a lot of folks who are writers knows what it's like to be overlooked and to see your work not be important. So I wanted to create a space for us to remind each other while we do this. Ask guests to write a response to what it means to live in a world where the writers are striking. What does that mean?
I was walking through New York City yesterday, so we have a whole park near the Lincoln Center dedicated to a poet, Dante Alighieri, who was outcast from his hometown because of his views, because of his poetry. And he wrote the Divine Comedy. So he was my inspiration. I will be sharing what is more of a scatological movie trailer in words, if you will. In a world where writers are striking, society faces the dangers of becoming a society where we cease to talk, to change, exchange ideas, interchange. How can I explain what makes us so different but at our core so the same? One place, here, us, so near but so far. With AI becoming so dear to the very few at the top. I won't stand by to watch. Nope, no popcorn. Problems not being solved. Originality being stamped away. Human silence deafening our souls. Growing old, seeing young ones not knowing human connection. My why? Hide. I was birthed by my mother. Remember when I first used a Macintosh Apple computer? Took 10 minutes to turn on. Then we went out to play, and today I still play. Writers, creators, artists can write original ideas that are new, informed by history, but pushing through barriers that divide us. Talk across continents. How do we address climate change? How do we face challenges? Our indigenous siblings, Earth, we feel you. Ancestral interconnection, imagination meets the moment, always has. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. AI didn't write that because it wasn't birthed of its heritage. Louis Jordan was. Ebonics, a language in its own right. Chains broken. Let stories last. Think fast. Writers mostly ask the questions society needs answering, asking, reflecting, commenting, tempering, mixing genres, presenting new concepts, possibility. Pushing boundaries, creating conversations like Manet and Cassatt. Hey, what's happening? Together forming a collective humanity, realizing ideals in pursuit of freedom, justice, love, connection through words, music, inspiration, sometimes hesitation. You, virtuous lad, mashing up periods, spanning time, innovating wonderland. Sure, we'll still be here tomorrow. How far? ¿Qué tú dijiste? Villains, heroines in different shapes, forms, and hues. Don't misuse our diversity. The invisible, we see what not yet is. Invincible, we admit. Thief Man, back at the top. We're responding to you. Disposable humans, I gotta beat my bottom line. What's behind? You can't take our stories, our gold, and make them your own. Writer, you made that for me? I can taste the intention. Our great evolution. Emotional intelligence. Is this a revolution? Ask the scientist. Bravery, risk joy, risk vulnerability. Can you see me? Corporate greed don't know about intention. Why even mention? This world is real, no dupes and zeros and ones. So censor Dr. Strangelove. Too late. Censor poet Dante Alighieri, banished for his views. Nope, he spread his Divine Comedy anyway. Censor the hard-fought struggles that stem from our experiences woven in our words. Never. Resound freedom. On the honest side of history, we are here. Our stories will not be erased, replaced, effaced. How far? We are near. We're not going anywhere.
3 a.m. My reflection glances at me from a powered-off TV. This used to be the hour I'd be wrapping up writing, but instead I got a 2-hour hike to the Bronx because I'm on strike. I pull back my hair and fade into memory. An 8-year-old glances at curved glass that once powered on will erase any mirror into self, family, or community. This black child of immigrants searched for some semblance of what identity meant. From stories not written by us, but were ostensibly for us. A symphony of one-note characters who suffered, but rarely celebrated, were angry, but never joyful, not allowed to have sexuality, and if they cried, it was considered a curse. Unlike the characters on screen, this child could not sing out the pain from his rhythmless tongue. And if he tried, he was scolded with playground laughter. So he retreated to a rusty typewriter. And when his fingers hit the keys, they made a melody so painful to the ears, it made you run. Clack, clickety, click, clack, click, clickety, clack, clack, click, clickety. There was no rhythm or tune, no harmony or meter, just a disturbance that wanted to be heard. It was like the sun called out to his fingertips, compelled them to speak, giving form and shape to his family and friends on a paper that, if not for this horrific sound, would be blank. Clack, clickety, clack, clack, clickety, clack, 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 clickety. Maybe that was his first picket. It's almost 4:30. The sun hasn't risen, and those tremor of those keys still bang away in my chest like a strike chant that is fighting for the recognition of our words. Clack, clickety, click, clack, clickety, clack, clickety. Like that 8-year-old boy, once we all fought to tell our stories, now we battle by withholding that glory. So the studios threaten to replace us with AI. Eliminate nuance and factory feed us narratives like so much undigested processed meat. But the thing is, AI can never replicate the teardrops that every writer has let slip onto the page. Clack, clickety, clack, clack, clickety, clack, clack, clickety, clack. It can never recreate the connection between the writer and their pen or keyboard, the brilliance found in that simple sensation of touch. Humanity. AI will never know the pain of having no choice but to find relief and expression in a darkness where their voice felt like that it was being hushed and dragged by a chain. So we continue to strike, making every picket line an open letter to grieve. Every production shutdown, a tale of unity. Every clack, clickety, clack, clickety step we take, a beautiful testament to not just the craft of writing, but rooms filled with a spectrum of voices that have lived full lives and dedicated themselves to this craft, this art, this passion that surges out of us like a moonbeam raging the tides. And though sometimes it may not make sense until the second view, that next rewrite, we know this: we are writers. And damn right, until we're recognized for what we create and bring into the world, to make sure each person has a chance to see themselves reflected in the spectacular chaos of being an individual. Hell yeah, we strike it.
Yeah. My first writer's room is currently in production without a showrunner, without any writers on set. It was a really long process that we poured everything into. So it's been hard feeling and living with that disrespect, knowing that it's just like we work, 26 weeks in a room, then go back for 4 weeks after we got our pickup, and then everyone's just like, and when I say everyone, I mean Netflix. So this is called Please Don't Call Me the F Word. So it was the third day of my first writer's room when one of my colleagues called me the F word. She was a writer's assistant on the show, an Air Force veteran who served 2 tours of duty as a nurse in Iraq, and she called me it. I remember seeing her face in one of the Zoom boxes to my left. She was gagging as she watched me give feedback to my showrunner on his pitch for the season arc. I get it. I see how it contributes to the greater story we're trying to tell, but how you pitched it, it makes sense. And the arc, it was really bold how I spoke. And this is my first show as a writer, and I wasn't trying to have Twitter come for me, so I knew I had to speak up.
And now it's not just Mel gagging, it's all the other Zoom boxes are like, oh shit. And my showrunner nods. And he asked me to pitch him a new character. Without hesitation, I pitched the character, and that's when she called me the F word. Fearless. Damn, Dom, the way you handle that room, I can't believe this is your first show. The way you pitch, how you think outside the box, you're fearless. Now, for the sake of transparency, I've dealt with anxiety my whole life, especially when it came to public speaking. As a kid, I used to stutter, so classroom participation and group discussion was never really my thing. And even as an adult, sometimes it takes me a second to think and gather my thoughts before I speak so that I can control my stutter. But for a long time in my teens and young adult life, I stood silent, even when I had a lot of important shit to say. But I decided 8 years ago that I was going to do my best to never let that happen again. On my birthday in 2015, I got the word fearless tattooed to the back of my lip, my bottom lip. It was my first tattoo.
Woo!
Pretty nasty, right? But I did it as a reminder to myself to always speak my truth, even when I'm terrified to do it. Because fear is always going to be there. Making the choice to work through the fear, that's the daily work. Every day before I would press the Zoom link to enter my writer's room, I'd pray to God to give me the strength to show up as my full self, to allow me to be able to fully listen and articulate my thoughts, to do my job, to fight for these characters and to fight for their stories. Now I did my motherfucking thing, because I was fighting for something that was bigger than me. Now that might have looked like I was choosing to be fearless, but as artists, as creators, as souls trying to make this place and make a difference on this planet, we can't afford to make another choice. I just wish in making that choice, I could afford my rent. Because we all know how fucked up writers are treated, especially staff writers. There's so much fucking foolishness in this business that can make us lose sight of the good stuff. And can make us lose sight that this world needs us. Our people need us. It's hard to see the storm when you're in it, but once you go through it, there's beauty, there are blessings, there is grace. This has been a fucked up time right now. Every day I wake up feeling like I'm in the middle of that storm. But I have faith, because I know there is beauty. I know there is blessings. I know there is grace on the other side of this. And we can't forget this. I can't forget that the world needs us. The world needs writers. They need our voices. There are people whose lives we are going to change by speaking up, by fighting, by showing up as our full selves. So let's keep fighting, because that's what we do. And maybe one day we won't only be described as fearless by the people we work with. We will also be described as paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna read and we're gonna do it. Yes. We're gonna do it. Okay. I heard a story once that you could be a writer if you wanted to, that you could make it a profession if you worked at it, that you could live just to create, breathe to give breath to a life you built. Not exactly your own life, but a built life nonetheless. When I heard it the first time, it sounded like whispers. The ones that catch your attention but scatter in the wind before you find the source. That sometimes catch you off guard because of how close they sound to your ear. That you ignore against your better judgment, like the not final girl who will meet her end for that very decision. I heard it, but I didn't trust it. I wouldn't until the day the whisper became a solid voice. A voice that said, just try. Really try. And with that first scene of a nascent play, I figured it out. I'd been running from what I'd been told wasn't lucrative, was unstable, was something easily replaceable. I was running away from what someone else had said was a losing battle. It was only when I stopped running that I realized that I wasn't running from whispers or some proverbial death. I was running towards creation. And in the discovery, I began to understand why writers are sacred. To write is to unearth yourself over and over again. To write is to create worlds and dialogue and sentences that can grip you beyond what you could say to yourself. To write is to discover what is, what could be, what will be, what won't be, what must be, what it's all for. Because the truth is, we are not often moved by our individual existence alone. Writers give us the currency required to live. Funny thing is, writers are expected to do it without the currency that requires us to live. I wonder who will describe a world if it cannot be written. Who will ask the questions that have not been turned over by those who with us answer it. Who will make us feel tethered to each other if those connection points are lost? I guess I wonder what we're doing if we can't tell stories safely. Build worlds without being built up ourselves. The Writers Guild of America is on strike in a world where they don't want to be and don't have to be. If only those who lived in the currency of a writer's work thought it was necessary to pay them for it. Writing is not free. It always costs something. But it always gives something back. Life. It gives us that. So that we get to move through each day with characters, scenes, songs, idioms, colloquialisms, and experiences that define us. So that we get to make it to the end of our battle with more than when we started. And what is a final girl if not something a writer created anyway? Thank you.
Writers are striking. What a kaleidoscopic catastrophe. What branch with no color, fruit with no sweat. I heard the writers are striking. The ones who carry the story. Have you ever gotten a letter, an email, a text message on a day, during a time, in a part of week you are the most meek, while two things in your life are converging, or colliding, or perhaps escalating? Have you ever gotten a letter, or an email, or a text message during that time? That rough time, that belly up and scalpel time. Have you ever gotten words sent to you in any form of carrier pigeon that kissed the fire in your chest? That made you for a moment believe that maybe there is someone or something out there looking after me? Have you ever gotten words sent to you from a partner that made you realize you are not hard to love like your family makes you out to be? Have you ever gotten words that if uttered could cause your body to convulse in laughter? Your bladder to question its efficiency? Have you ever gotten words with a memory inside of them like a ship in a glass jar? Have you ever witnessed a friend speak up for themselves? How their words taste like honey in your ears? Now imagine doing that professionally. I heard the writers are striking, and I think someone should be scared. We are the ones who offer that feeling when no one else is there. I heard the writers are striking, and I guess that means you all are too. Do you not understand? They are saying that that letter, that email, that text message didn't matter. They're saying your story does not matter. They are saying you are not worthy of dignity. Yes, they are saying this to you, for are you not a writer too? Have you not written something? Okay then, I heard the writers are striking. Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you in the room? Okay then, I heard the writers are striking, and I heard you are striking too. First, where my rappers at? Where my playwrights at? Woo! Yeah. Where my poets at? Where my novelists at? Yeah. Where my journalists at? Where my shorties that write the long text? Woo! You with it? You got something to add to this conversation? Do your pen go crazy? Show me something good, because the writers are striking, so we acting out. We running our mouths. Do you hear that? That's a pen moving. Sound kind of like a bullet, don't it? Do you feel that? That's the spirit moving. Show me an AI that can do that.
Period.